Hey visionaries, welcome back to the Your Biggest Vision Show. I'm your host Leah, and I'm very excited to have Emily Williams with us here today. Thanks for being here, Emily.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm just going to introduce you really quick, and then we are going to dive in. So Emily is actually plays a big part in my story as well. I've looked up to her for a long time. She's taught me so much. She is a success coach, an entrepreneur, and very recently an author. Congratulations.
Thank
After
you.
experiencing a quarter-life crisis, she moved from Ohio to London where she knew no one. And in 2014, she launched her business, I Heart My Life. She went from making $442 in her first month to seven figures in under 18 months. Awesome. Today, she works with female entrepreneurs all over the world, helping them to live the lives they want, build their own online business, and hit big money goals. Her husband, James, is also a coach within her business. She holds a degree in psychology from Otterbein College in Columbus, Ohio, and an MA in nonfiction writing from the City University in London. She is a certified coach through Divine Living, and she won the top award with the program. She has been featured in Money, Entrepreneur, Business Insider, Forbes, Success Magazine, just to name a few. Wow, what a resume! Congratulations on everything you've done, Emily.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Funny to listen to all of that back.
How's it feel to have author there now?
Yeah, incredible. I mean, I think I've considered myself an author for many years because I did write a book during my master's in nonfiction writing, but it wasn't published. And then I, self-published something a few years ago, but to have it with Hay House, it's super exciting.
Great. Well, I'm excited to hear more about that. But first, I'm hoping you'll take us back a little bit. So the show's all about your vision and fighting for your vision. And I know you're such a visionary. Obviously, it's why I asked you to be on here, but you're still one of the biggest visionaries I know. When you were in high school, what did you envision your life to look like at that point? What did you have in your vision then?
I think it was two different visions. So my parents met in high school. They've been together since they were 15 years old. And so part of me always thought it'd be cool to have the high school romance that turned into the marriage and, just have this somewhat normal life, just like following my parents' footsteps. But the other side of me wanted something different. And I think I often wrestled with that. I felt guilty that I wasn't happy with the normal life that was presented before me. But I just couldn't shake this feeling that I wanted something different. I wanted to step outside the box. I didn't think that Ohio was my forever place. But again, I really wrestled with those two feelings.
So I think that probably, I know so much about your story, but for those listening, whether it's, feeling like they don't know if they should be settling or if they want something bigger, or even if they've kind of established things, how do you reconcile when you want two different things? And how do you find the courage to say no to something that you don't want, even if you feel like you should?
Yeah, I was so far down the path that I nearly almost settled. So I thought that my next step after high school was going to college, getting that psychology degree, and then after that, going to get my master's. And I literally applied to 12 schools around the US and traveled and visited all of them and finally landed on the master's program in counseling psychology at Northwestern. And I was on my way to Chicago to find an apartment in the city and had this feeling in the pit of my stomach that it wasn't the right fit for me and that this was not the right path. And so in that moment, my mom was with me, she was driving, I started crying and we had a really brief conversation and she just turned the car around and we went back to Ohio. And so for me, it was just this moment where I realized this is no longer my path. This is not the right path. I have to make a drastic change. But like I said, I was very close to doing what the norm is and continuing down a path that deep down I knew wasn't meant for me.
So I really resonate with this. And something I've struggled with in that same line in my own journey in several different instances is feeling like feeling like I might not be grateful enough for what I have. And maybe that's why I feel like I need to push myself to do something further. And so a lot of the times when I'm trying to go for a new goal, before I actually go for it, I have to think, well, Leah, maybe you should just be grateful for what you've got. You're not being grateful enough. Have you ever felt like that? And if so, how do you deal with those conflicting, I want something more, but I also should be grateful for what I have?
Yeah, I love this question. I know a lot of women struggle with it. And I think gratitude is so important. It's one of the things that really helped jumpstart the success I've experienced. But I think that you can be grateful and be driven and go to the next level at the same time. And so, yes, it's important to be present and say, I'm grateful for everything I've experienced. I'm grateful for this present moment. And I have this little feeling inside that there's a next level for me. And I now operate with the belief that all of my feelings, emotions, desires, I make them right. And so when you honor yourself and you trust yourself and you've spent time really understanding what it is that you're being called to do, then you can be grateful and still go to that next level and not make yourself wrong for it.
I love that answer. I think it's so important in all aspects of life to realize that you can have not even conflicting, but like two feelings can coexist. They don't have to negate each other. It's an and, not a but. Like I'm grateful and I want more, not I'm grateful, but I want more. So
yeah, I don't know who decided that gratitude meant that that was it and that you just have to be grateful for that and then can't want more.
When you like really think about it, it doesn't make sense. But yet I think so many of us do struggle growing up with feeling like we were told by someone, I went to a Catholic school, so I know where it came from. For me, I was definitely told like, be grateful for what you have. So many people have less, end of story. So I'm lucky I can identify it, but I think a lot of people are told, whether they know where from or not, that you should just be grateful for what you have. So that's amazing that you did that. And then you moved to London. I know the story, but I want to really focus now on when you start your business. And you hit 6 figures really quickly. You hit 7 figures really quickly. When you started, did you have the vision of what it is now? Or what was your vision then?
Short answer, absolutely not. So when I went back to Ohio, just to kind of catch everyone up to speed, I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I heard move to London, like a little whisper. And so I got a student visa, moved to London, started a writing program, and spent a few years just in a quarter life crisis trying to find my footing. I didn't know what coaching was, at least not in the capacity that I do it today. And I always thought, I wanted to start my own business. I grew up with entrepreneurs, but again, I didn't have the clarity around what that business actually was. I interviewed a bunch of different people, my favorite yoga instructor, thinking that I might want to start a yoga studio. Like I had a million different ideas. But I finally one day discovered Marie Forleo and people like Danielle Laporte and all the coaches I really admire today. And they really showed me what was possible. And my own idea for a coaching business was birthed out of the quarter life crisis I'd been experiencing for years, and finally being able to uncover my purpose, get clarity, and the desire to help other women do the same. And what it essentially boiled down to was I spent years not loving my life. And so the idea for I Heart My Life came to be from my own experience and wanting to help other women fall in love with themselves and their lives. So it really started as a life coaching business.
Right. So when you were going through that time of the lack of clarity and you were interviewing all these people and you want to help people find clarity, even today, I feel like one of the questions I get asked the most is that people, like, they know they want something more, but they don't really know how or what, or even where to start. Where would you tell that person to start that knows that they aren't happy where they are and they can see something maybe way up here, but right in between is very, very unclear?
Well, it might sound counterintuitive and strange, but I recommend paying attention to your jealousy. So I remember when I was lost and confused, I was so jealous of all the people who had it together. And that could be people back in my high school who appeared to have it all together, or it could be people like celebrities or business owners. So anyway, I started to pay attention to the things that I wanted. And one of the ways I could tell that I wanted them was by the jealousy that I was experiencing. So if someone's scrolling through Instagram and you're seeing people traveling, or someone starting a business, or someone going and getting a PhD, pay attention to the emotions that are coming up that are telling you what it is that you want. And sometimes that looks like jealousy. Sometimes it looks like desire. Sometimes it looks like just a lot of emotion sparked within you. I think that we're not as aware of our emotions as we could be. And those emotions have so much to say, and they can give us so many clues about our steps that we need to take to get that clarity.
That's awesome advice. And really just thinking about how, social media gets such a bad reputation, especially Instagram, for people feeling like they get really in these comparison places, or they feel like they're inferior because it's everyone's highlight reel. But if you can try to reframe it as who's actually inspiring you,
Exactly.
why do you feel that way? Is it because it's something that you actually aspire to be? That's really good advice. Okay, so going back to your business, you started and you did hit six figures really quickly, but I think one of the most important things I always really like asking people about, and I like talking about, were the beginning phases when like it was not easy. You did not know what you were doing. You did not know that you were going to hit six figures. And it's so easy to see from the outside looking in that it went so smoothly, but I know, we both know that it's not that easy, especially in the beginning. So how did you keep going when your vision was not only not that clear, but you had no clue how it was going to happen? And in fact, like, I don't know if you ever went through times like this, but I went through times where I felt sometimes even further away from it because I felt like I was doing so much wrong or things so weren't working. And so if you just could talk to us a little bit about how you dealt with those times, I think it'd be really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. In the beginning, again, I had never owned my own business. I was very new to this type of coaching. And so I was not a seasoned entrepreneur. I was guessing at what was going to work. And in the beginning, it was very challenging. I remember there was a period of time where I went through 54 no's in a row. So I literally got on calls with 54 people and they all said no to working with me. And I remember telling my coach at the time, like, this isn't working. This is not happening. What am I doing wrong? And I was so down in the dumps that she had this little form that I filled out before the session. And it said, what are you most proud of from the last week? And what are you excited about for our session? And to both those questions, I answered nothing because I was so depressed. And I was just like, this is not happening. Why am I even doing this?
Yeah.
And she got on the phone with me and was able to really support me. And she said, you're like a pot on the stove about to boil. The water is heating up. You might not see the bubbles yet, but they're about to appear. You have to keep going. Yeah. And I really loved that reframe. And so she really helped me transform my mindset in that sense and also come up with a plan. And I really think it's both of those things together. Which I'll talk about in just a second, I'm sure, but it's also about remembering what you're meant for. So I really believe that if you're called to do something, it's meant for you. Now, that doesn't mean that we always can dictate the exact timeline of when it's going to happen, but you have to continue to have faith that you weren't given guidance or desires for no reason. They're there so that you can bring them to life. It just might not happen in your time frame.
or easily.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's an amazing story, and it clearly shows how persistent you are and just how much you knew, even when in the dark nights of your the dark days of your business, you knew in your heart that this was going to happen for you. And so now you've helped so many people start businesses. You've worked with so many female entrepreneurs, but is there a characteristic about the people that do keep going and that do persist even when times are tough versus those that sort of like might walk away or might reevaluate if this is really meant for them? And if so, what is it about the people that keep going that drive them to keep going?
Yeah, well, I feel like I am talking to one right now. I mean, you're a perfect example of that. And I believe it's exactly what we preach at I Heart My Life. It's this combination of mindset plus taking action. So you have to continue to focus on what it is that you want, not on what's not working. So, and I learned this in my quarter life crisis. That's why gratitude was so powerful. And like I said, helped me shift into success. When I focused on what was going right and what I wanted, I got more of that. Whereas when I focused on what was going wrong and what I didn't want, I got more of that. And so you have to have the mindset that's not only in the present moment, but also focused on what the goal is. And you have to continue to have that faith that it's going to happen. And then you have to take the action on behalf of the faith. And we don't always know what's going to happen and what's going to work. I mean, I remember interviewing one of my colleagues and he said, he takes more action than anyone he knows. And people think that's because he's very clear. But he said it's the complete opposite. It's because I'm not clear and I don't know what's going to work and what's not. And so you just have to keep showing up and eventually things start happening and you understand what's really going to move the ball forward.
Yeah. So there's two things I want to pull out, but I love that you shared that story because I am turning 27 tomorrow. At the time of this, I will be 27, but I'm talking about like what I did to hit six figures at 26. And I realized that I fail so much more often than I succeed, way more than I used to, but it doesn't matter because only the successes are enough to keep you going. And so it's actually okay if you fail all the time. It's kind of a good thing. And so I think it's important to share that because again, it's sort of like from the outside looking in, people might think that like, I don't fail that much, or I really know what I'm doing nowadays. And some things I have really figured out, but it's because I like accept that it's okay to fail. It's part of being an entrepreneur, that I think I move forward. But what I want to pull out is that it sounds to me from like what you just shared that there's absolutely nothing different about the people who make it. I shouldn't say absolutely nothing, but like, it's not that they're gifted with something or that there's any sort of secret sauce or secret code. It's that they have chosen to focus on what's working and ignore what's not. Is that like what it boils down to?
Exactly. It's that choice and that, decision to keep going and to show up.
Yeah, right. And just keep going. I love it. Okay, well, you are the queen of this. So I think that this is so helpful. When in your journey, would you say, if you have a moment that you could share of just when you finally felt like, I'm here, I'm living my vision, I'm not going toward it so aggressively anymore, like trying to get out of that confused part, like I've made it?
I don't know that I've ever felt like that. And that might sound really sad to people listening, but the fact is when you're driven and when you have such big goals, there's always another level. Like, I don't think I've like arrived. In many ways, I far exceeded what I set out to do, which is really exciting. But when you reach those goals and you realize what you're capable of, then you want to raise the bar, then you want to have more impact, then you want to go to the next level. I will say that there have been many, many pinch me moments when we have live events and I'm surrounded by all these incredible clients and I have no idea how this even happened, that I got to work with so many amazing people and, feel their energy and be a part of their journey. And a lot of our events are held in beautiful spaces. And so the pinch me moments are endless. Now, I wouldn't say that means I don't set my goals even higher. But yeah, there's been many moments where I've been blown away by everything that's happened.
Yeah. It's like sort of the and thing again. You're blown away and you're ready for something more to come next.
Yeah. Do you feel like that?
I feel like I did reach a point where I no longer felt like I was playing catch up or like kind of reaching, I don't really know how to describe it. I do feel like there was a shift between when I felt like I was building my business or when I was in the beginning versus when it became established. And I think, you saw it happen. I think it largely happened last year, and the kind of things that made it happen were quitting my 9-to-5 job and hitting 5-figure months, which happened really close together. And I think between those two things, it was sort of like, wow, like two things that I have been working towards since I started, both just happened. I think it was a big shift for me.
Yeah. No, it's been incredible to watch. And I think it is important, this is not something I've thought about in a while, but it's really important to think about when that switch happens from like you're attempting to be an entrepreneur to when you really feel like you're that business owner. It's a different sort of a feeling.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely don't feel like I've like checked off all the boxes and that I'm done. Like I'm very much like you. Every time I reach a new goal, I just go to the next thing. But I do think that there is a shift, and I am happy to talk about it. And I'm glad that you kind of feel that way too, because for those listening, if you're in the beginning stages, it does get easier. It doesn't feel like that for forever. If you feel like you're constantly working toward getting to the place where you feel established, you will, like in my experience, I did feel a shift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay.
I love that.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's great.
So my next question, because I know you're so good with money mindset, is about money and, creating your vision. And I guess I would just love if you could share a little bit. I think a lot of people have visions for their lives. More often than not, those visions require money, which is fine. But a lot of people don't know how to fill in those blanks, especially if they're not entrepreneurs. Largely my audience is an entrepreneur, so you can like kind of more speak to that. But how have you had to shift your money mindset to reach your visions? And where do you even begin to start when people haven't really even heard that phrase before?
Yeah, so your money story or your money mindset is just the way that you view and think of money. And this is normally set when we're children based on what our parents and society teach us about money. Just like your viewpoints on certain religions or marriage or whatever it may be, we have a viewpoint of money. And so we bring that into our adulthood. And if we're an entrepreneur starting a business, we bring those beliefs into the business. And sometimes they serve us, sometimes they don't. But you can imagine that if beliefs have been passed down for generations, there are some beliefs that are quite ancient that need an update, just like another operating system. And so what we do with our clients, as Leah knows, is take a look at what beliefs might be holding you back or stopping you from achieving the success you desire. Just like this belief that you should only be grateful for what you have. We look at flipping that and transforming it and creating a new belief that's going to serve your success and help you reach your goals instead of hinder you.
Amazing. So it comes back to what you talked about you having the choice. You get to choose what you focus on, you get to choose your desires, and you get to choose how you view money and how you view it in your life. Do you feel like it's very painful for people to do some of this?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's an interesting thing because it actually runs really deep. It's something that binds you to your parents in a lot of ways, this shared belief system. And it's almost like cutting the cord and thinking in a different way. And this pertains to money or life decisions or even moving away from your home state. I know that can be a big shift for people. But when we live our lives based on our own desires, things really start to transform. And so, of course, there's going to be moments where it feels like you're breaking ties. And I know for me, there were certain things that I really had to shift. When I started my business, I was $30,000 in credit card debt. I was $90,000 in my student loan debt. And everyone says, pay off your student loans, do it as quick as possible. But in my mind, this is just one example. In my mind, that made no sense. Why would I be putting money towards paying off my student loans? And then my business would have less money available to it and it would grow slower. And so I had to really feel into what I actually wanted and how I wanted to spend my money. And I'm not making either way right or wrong, but I just had to get clear around my own desires and what was going to help me reach my goals quicker. And that didn't necessarily mean operating with the same money beliefs that the rest of society has or that my parents have, and just recognizing what was going to serve me.
So much of going for your vision, like everything you shared, is just about, you have to give yourself the courage to think outside the box and listen to yourself because no one else is going to know how to do it except for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Because every business is unique. And I mean, heart is in our company name. So my heart has to be in what I'm doing and it has to be aligned with the steps that I'm taking. And that pertains to money as well. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs start with so much fear around money, fear around sales, fear around credit cards, fear around debt, all of that. And in fear in general is draining. And so we need all of our energy to get this plane off the ground. And if we're stuck in this never ending cycle of fear and negative money mindset, it is really draining and it stops us from moving forward.
Amazing. So shifting gears a little bit, just because I really want to ask you this question now. Speaking of I Heart My Life, you wrote a book called I Heart My Life.
I did.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
When does it come out? And can you tell us a little bit about what it is?
Yeah, it comes out on June 4th. And the book is all about really understanding what your purpose is and then transforming your mindset to create massive success in your life. And so it's a lot of what we were talking about here today. And it actually takes people through my story from 2008 when I turned the car around to moving to London, being in a quarter life crisis, working as a nanny, and then uncovering my true passion, which was coaching, starting I Heart My Life. And even after starting I Heart My Life, what has happened over the past few years? There have been a lot of challenges. There's been tons of lessons. And so I also take a look at some of the difficult moments and speak to people about how to move through those. So it's really all about the past 8 years, but also it's very much a how-to book to create a life that's better than your dreams.
Who is this for?
It's for not just for entrepreneurs, but driven women who know they're meant for something big.
Amazing. Amazing. I just know it's going to change so many people's lives. And what would you say if you had to pick one? I know there's been so many, but is there a challenge that you're willing to share about your journey and how you overcame it? Because I know that a lot of people would love advice on how to overcome tough times.
I think for me, one of the biggest challenges, and it's still a challenge today, is team. So I've always been, I taught myself how to do everything in the beginning. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs are this one woman show or one male show. And they learn all these things and are able to do everything in the business. And then they get to the point where they're like, well, I could never hire because I can do everything quicker, but I need to hire because I can't do this on my own forever. And so there's this weird place where you have to make a decision. And I waited far too long to hire. And I know that we could have grown even quicker. We could have done more had I had extra hands on the team. And it's still a challenge for me to understand how to be a leader and how to delegate and how to let go and what to let go of. But if I could suggest anything, it would be get support sooner rather than later, because we're not meant to do everything on our own.
I'm really glad you shared that, because I struggle with it so much too. It's really been like the most foreign part of this. And it's funny because looking back, we just talked about how in the beginning, I didn't know what I was doing. No one knows what's going on. It's like you're just churning out all this content and you don't know if anyone cares. But even that, I felt, came more intuitively than outsourcing. I don't know why. I don't know if it was just because it was like my own thing, but it's been very hard. So I'm glad that you opened up about it. And that
I think it's important in the beginning to develop your own voice. And so you doing, writing your own content, putting things out there, it's been important. And now so many elements of the business to be able to help your clients with other things that come up for them. But I think just like you said, when there's that moment when you realize you're no longer just in startup, you're a business owner, I think that's when that shift happens and you have to relinquish control. But it's not easy at all.
No. Amazing. Well, this has been so great, Emily. You've given us such good advice about mindset, about using mindset to pursue your vision, about using challenges to pursue your vision, using jealousy, using money. I'm so grateful for all of this. Thank you. I just have a quick few fire questions. Perfect. And then we'll be done. So if you had one moment that you're most proud of, do you want to share?
The first one that came to mind is when I won that award in my group program. I was standing on stage. I was totally surprised, and it was very powerful.
That's amazing. Yeah. What is a book or podcast that is a go-to for you?
The Successful Mind podcast by David Nagel.
Awesome. What is one thing we can look out from you, or we can look out from you? I can't, you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. And I think I know the answer, but I want to hear what you have to say anyway.
Yep. So my book is coming out on June 4th, published by Hay House. It's called I Heart My Life: How to Uncover Your Purpose, Transform Your Mindset, and Create Success Beyond Your Dreams.
Amazing. And how can people find out more about you?
Go to iheartmylife.com. That's also where you can pre-order the book, iheartmylife.com/book. There's lots of incredible pre-order bonuses right now. And I know your people are business owners. They could be creating courses. I also have a free gift for them at iheartmylife.com/11-minutes. It's all about creating your next program or course in just 11 minutes.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Emily. This was hugely powerful. You always blow me away with how much you can share in a short amount of time. So thank you for doing that. And I'm so excited to see your book.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Leah. I know that you're making a huge difference in the lives of so many people. And I'm just grateful that you chose to move forward with your dreams.
Oh, thanks, Emily. All right, visionaries, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope that you found this super actionable and inspiring. And I hope that you take something right now from what Emily said and figure out how you can apply it to your dreams, your vision, your money, whatever you're working for. She's got you. I'm here for you. You've got this. All right. Talk to you soon.